Welcome back to Combust Astrology. Let's talk about Jupiter in Cancer. So, you're a Sag rising and you clicked on this video, or maybe you're a Sag sun and you don't know your rising sign because the government, the birds are working for the bourgeoisie. Or maybe you're a Sag moon and you're chaotic enough to want to know how this affects you as well. Either way, no matter who you are, let's talk about it. Jupiter is your rising, it's your chart ruler. So Jupiter going into Cancer is also important because Jupiter for you, right? This is why you guys are like the lucky ones and Saturnians hate themselves. They don't really hate themselves. It's just everyone keeps saying that they should hate themselves, but they're just like, what? You know? Being a Jupiterian means that Jupiter rules your rising sign because it's Sagittarius. I just said that. But also Neptune. But now, because your rising sign, the biggest thing about it is like whatever the sign is, that's like the house or whatever that you're supposed to take note of because it's more of an emphasis of who you are. It shades you. So having Jupiter shade you is like really good because wherever Jupiter is, that's where you can kind of like expect to be rewarded always, which is why people are like Jupiterians, luck and all that, you know. But you guys are still fun people, very fun people. And as Jupiter sits in your chart, you will start to understand why it is that this is one of the most awesome Jupiter transits for your chart. Because we're going to somersault right into your 8th house, right? Your 8th house is ruled by Cancer, and that is the mother, but it is also, more importantly, primordial waters. Water is deep. Water can be old. You can have places that water, for lack of better terms, doesn't really move too much, and it's just old. You know, that's what I think of the water signs. I think that water constantly moving is actually Pisces. Water at its deepest, darkest depth is Scorpio, but water that sits still through time is Cancer. And when we go back into the history of who you are and what it is that we know about you, then we'll be able to analyze Jupiter and Cancer in your 8th house shows the desire to have a very cutesy, loving relationship. But you guys want to be moms so badly. And that's why I'm like, it's very timeless. Like, no matter what it is that someone has wronged you, no matter how many times, clearly, you're just like, but I can still play mom. Why? Like, it's unbeknownst to me. But I think it's really more so because of your 12th house. And we're going to talk about that. The ruler of your 12th house is Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, typically. God, my handwriting. And with the ruler of the 12th house being in the 4th, and then the ruler of the 4th house being in the 8th, you get this little switch, right? What this switch does is it creates this need for you to shelter people from basically learning about the world, right? The Scorpio, you come into a life where it's very karmic. You had a very rough childhood, you know. Your relationship with your mom might not have been the best. You're very skeptical about people. And so you're born into this. And then we shimmy on to your home life. And it's like ever giving. It's ever chaotic and ever like fantasy. But it's ever giving. And it's never ending, I guess you could say. But you're trying so badly to make people not experience the pain and suffering of that 12th house that you know because you see everything, that you just end up playing mom. And that's the crucial issue here. Because when Pluto was in Capricorn, and it was in your 2nd house, opposing your 8th. God, I can't speak today. Opposing your 8th, that was not a healthy way of loving. But you probably still did it. And so what that kind of led to was the existential depression of Pluto sextiling your 4th house. It's sextiling your 12th house. And then opposing your 8th house. Why is that existential? Because Capricorn is cold. So the planet of being cold, having a direct sextile to your home life, the fourth house, that's the planet, that's the sun. Capricorn is the planet of cold. The sign of being cold because it's ruled by Saturn. Having this, right? The exaltation of Capricorn is supposed to be Libra, but its domicile is Saturn, right? And don't fight me on the exaltation and whatever. That's what I'm going with. The exaltation of Pisces, it's not really anything, but its domicile should be Jupiter, or more dominantly, I guess you could say, Neptune. So to me, it would seem that Saturn is kind of restricting this fourth house by saying that, if you try to love your family, they're just clueless and or unable to, or like, my family life is chaotic and no one would believe me because it's insane and I have to dissociate, ergo fourth house Pisces. And or, I try to find true meaning and deepest love to get that loving need in that eighth house in Cancer, ergo the moon, right? How you feel and all that. But then the 12th house is like, it's not existential in the same way that the home is in chaos and all that, but it's existential in that the only way for you to get out of the chaos around you is to dive so deep in your subconscious that some people can get themselves in a state of psychosis. That isn't always the goal, but it's like, outside of your air placement positions, like, what is there to do? Right? It's this is why it creates a sense of existentialism, because you run into an issue of meaning. But you guys do your best to try and make life pretty, right? You try to be stable friends. You try to do things that make you feel consistent and happy. And you try to appeal. You try to do the socialite stuff. But sometimes it's not enough. But now that Pluto's away from the second house, it doesn't need to be as depressing, right? It doesn't need to feel like every day is an effort of work. And God forbid you have actual Virgo placements. This does not get any easier, because Saturn in Pisces in the previous period of time kind of sat back and it was like, okay, I get it. You're unwell. Let's destroy all of this. And it did, actually. Saturn in Pisces squared you. It squared your long-term relationships and your contracts, and then it squared your actual business life. So it's not going to work out. Doesn't mean that everything had to fall apart. For some of you, it literally did. But it's more like, hey, let's try new things. Most likely causing you to move, most likely causing you to end something, most likely causing you to just rebrand and grow into yourself. To then we move into the other aspect of the Saturn in Pisces, which is the Jupiter in Gemini, giving you chaos. But really, the Saturn in Pisces square throughout last year was teaching you to balance this, right? It wanted you to balance how it is that you were going to deal with the outside chaos of the 12th house, because it's always around you. No matter what you try to do, this is never leaving you. I'm sorry. Blame your mom, not me. You're always going to have that. So it's like, how do I make sense of it? Well, you have to find a good balance. And now Saturn's obviously in your fifth, so it's like, have some fun, don't try to be so stuck up anymore. But Jupiter, as this is the main topic of conversation, comes back and it tells you that let's heal these two parts of yourself. It's okay to actually have love that reciprocates. Cancer, like, if you're like 13 and this is 69 to you, and it's like, haha, funny, whatever. But Cancer, like, to me, this looks like loving onto another and making sure that this is infinite. That's what I always think about when I look at Cancer, because, the Pisces is like the two fish, Scorpio is a scorpion, whatever. But when I think of Cancer, it's more than just the mom, but it's truly like infinite love. It's recycling, right? It is giving back to itself. And when you have something that recycles, you don't really need anything else outside of what you have. So that's why whenever I think of the fourth house, I'm like, oh yeah, Cancerian people, they don't need to go outside. They got everything at home. Why would I go outside? I got it at home. All right. Having Cancer placements makes you more of a homebody than anything. Having Cancer placements makes you more aware of other people's needs than anything. So Jupiter going through here, it's like, let's repair the home, right? The chaos of Jupiter, right? And also Saturn probably fucked up the home. But let's repair the home while at the same time getting exactly what it is that we need. This is the new balance of Saturn and Aries with the Jupiter in Cancer. It's like you can have the home and also try to make life fun. Don't overdo having the home and the relationship and binding with one person completely, but enjoy it while also still advocating for your own desires, right? That is your guys' biggest thing right now. Because when Jupiter switches over, it's going to be about really being outside and really just wanting a stable day to day. But we'll talk about that in the next coming years. But for right now, that's the main focus. So if you didn't take anything away from this, Jupiter ruling your rising sign wants to heal you. That's it. It's super simple. You don't have to do too much else. Heal you, heal the way you think, let go of the past traumas of the family, and look into what it is that you need along with what it is that you need, if that makes sense. I think you guys get that. I'm not going to bother covering the 11th house. You don't need any of that right now. Fuck the friends. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Surround yourself with new people. Okay. No, actually, I'll touch upon it just a little bit more. When I say fuck the friends, that's not clear enough. It's really like, you don't always have to acknowledge the aspects of something. And for me, I sometimes don't. I'm like, okay, I'll just ignore this for now. Obviously work on it if it's a big karmic thing. But Jupiter squaring Libra, like, come on, be for real, right? That's just like, stop nurturing the clear friendships that, like, if someone's going to somersault into the Pacific Ocean with no life jacket from a plane, like high up in the air, it doesn't matter how long you've known them. They're doing something stupid and there's only so much you can do. So either be like an amazing friend and wait for them to somersault, maybe almost drown, and then like maybe the plane lands and you take a boat to go help them because they're stranded, or just let them drown. Like, that's what this square is to me. And personally, if you're doing some dumb shit, I'm just going to look at you sideways and be like, what's wrong with you? Right? So that's my 10 cents. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.